Hey everyone, I'm Daniel,
And I'm Jun,
and we are
Korean.
American.
So Daniel,
Hey Jun.
we had fun a couple days ago.
Yeah, we went out.
Yeah, we went out. We wanted to celebrate a special occasion.
Yeah,
And I know that, Daniel, you always had a fantasy towards drinking and getting really drunk at a Korean pojangmacha.
yeah, that's fantasy is the right word.
Yeah.
I think it's always shown in like Korean dramas.
Yes.
So dramatic. And
So-
it's a pocha, like it has to be like raining or snowing or something.
It didn't rain, nor did it snow.
It was snowing earlier in the night,
Was it?
a little bit.
But
yeah.
it was a good occasion because it was very cold.
It was very cold.
And it kind of calls for drinking at a pojangmacha.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it was too cold in the pojangmacha too.
A lot of them were closed.
Anyways, yeah, we went all the way up to Seoul
Yeah.
to the, I guess, middle of the Seoul area, like the old Seoul area,
Yeah.
namely Ulchiro and then Jongno. How'd you like the vibe of Ulchiro, by the way?
I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like kind of back alleyways,
Yeah.
a little bit older feel.
Yeah, it's a very hipster area.
Yeah. Felt very hipster.
They call it Hipjiro.
Hipjiro?
Yeah. Yeah, for a little bit of information, Ulchiro was famously known back then as a area where there are a lot of printing offices for newspapers, magazine, etc.
Yeah.
Now, in these very old narrow alleyways, right? Now they've transformed into hipster cafes and bars, but still amongst them there are a lot of printing offices still operating, which you saw
Yeah.
in the alleyway.
That was really cool.
So the vibe is very unique, right?
Mhm.
So we had some. So first of all, we had seolleongtang at this very old, more than 50 years old seolleongtang place that's very famous.
Yeah.
And then we went for icha to a. I think it was a rooftop bar, but then we didn't know there was a rooftop. And then we walked all the way to Jongno
Yeah.
Samga, which I knew that was famous for their street pochas.
Pochas, yeah.
Yeah, and then we had a good time there.
Wait, but let me describe again the fantasy just because, I don't know. It's like I think for Korean Americans too, whenever you watch a Korean drama, it's like, again, it's very fantasized, I guess. It's like, again, you're at the pocha. Of course, it's deserted except for you, maybe one other table there. You know, you have to like call to the ajima, like, 한 잔 더 주세요. 여기 소주.
Yeah.
You have to be really drunk too. You have to be like, you know, on your last legs.
Yes.
And then you like spill your deepest, darkest secrets, right? Either like, yeah, usually like a love confession, right?
Yeah.
But it could be something else.
Mm.
But yeah, for whatever reason, it's like, I think pochas and pojangmachas in general, I always really wanted to go to them. Like it's, you know, it's essentially like a food stand, right?
Yes.
The closest thing in the US, I think, is like a food truck center. And there was one in particular I really loved going to in the Bay Area. It was called Spark, like Social Park. It was right in Soma. But it was awesome, right? Like there was, you know, 10 or 15 food trucks that were there. And it was just like a really fun vibe. So my vision was like, these are all over Korea. But June, they're really not everywhere. I think there's only a few pocha areas in Seoul left.
I think there's a difference, at least in Korea, between a pocha where you drink and then a food truck where they sell street food.
Okay.
I think there were and still a lot of controversies around illegally operated food trucks. I don't know the entire logistics of it, but
Yeah.
I heard that it's very difficult to get a licensure
Interesting.
to run an actual legal food truck in Korea.
I see.
So a lot of them, I think, are still technically operating illegally.
Okay.
And it's very timely too because one of the most famous winter street foods in Korea is the 붕어빵.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like one of those things where it is illegal, but you just let it slip.
Yeah.
And then pocha is a different thing where they sell alcohol and you can actually sit inside the thing. Whereas for food trucks or like street food stalls, you usually take out.
I see.
Or even if you eat there, you stand, right? In front of the stall and consume.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess this nuance was never a thing for me.
Yeah.
So pochas or pojangmachas,
Yes.
they have seating, usually some sort of covered seating, and they serve alcohol. Whereas food trucks, it's just you just order your food and they give it to you.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Anyways, so today we're going to talk about drinking culture.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to mention that I think that you felt kind of surprised to see most of the tables, even in the 설렁탕 place, drinking together.
Yeah, I was shocked. 설렁탕, which is like, how would you translate it?
설렁탕 is a brothy soup where you boil ox bone for a very long time until the broth becomes very creamy and milky. And then you serve it with a little bit of meat inside, and sometimes you put a little bit of noodles.
Yeah.
Or you could put your rice in as we call it 국밥, right?
Yeah,
국밥 style, and eat it. But yeah, most of the time Koreans, when they're eating these type of very hearty, brothy, warm soups, they have it with their sojus.
Okay. Yeah, I would never. For me, 설렁탕 was like, I was just looking for a translation, by the way. Like, I don't even know what the English.
설렁탕?
Yeah. Oxbone soup.
The name of it doesn't have anything to do with what it actually is.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never associated with drinking. Right? That's just like almost a healthy meal, right? It's just soup, clean soup. You can salt it, put the spring onion in. So I was shocked when we went to that place. Every single table had the green, soju bottles or the green beer bottles or both. Yeah, every single one.
Yeah. I don't think they'll ever have only a green beer bottle. The beer is only for the
somek.
Yes.
Ah. Yeah, I wasn't paying attention.
맥주 and 설렁탕 is not a pairing.
Not a pairing.
We'll get to alcohol pairings too
Got
later,
it.
but yeah.
I'll trust you on that. But yeah, every single table had those green bottles.
Yeah.
And everyone was drinking, so we had to drink too with
Yes.
it, which, felt weird, but
Oh, you didn't think it was a good pair, or?
It was okay. It's just, again, I'm not used to eating like 설렁탕. To me, it's not drinking food. But in Korea, clearly it is. Yeah.
There's a concept called banju. In Korea. I think it means like having your alcohol with your meal. And at that point, I think you're like a certified drinker in Korea if you start drinking with your food.
Okay.
Yeah. Not as anju, you know what I mean?
No,
like
I don't.
anju is describing a food where the main is the alcohol.
Yeah, and anju is what you eat with it.
Yeah, and then banju is the food is the main focus, but you're
drinking along.
Yeah. So when you're doing banju, it's like you're officially
you're
a drinker.
deep in the Korean drinking culture.
Yeah,
okay, got it. So that was definitely banju. Yeah, the first meal.
Yeah, so our 1차 we had banju, and then from our 2차 we had anju.
Yeah, got it. Okay, cool. So yeah, Jun, before moving here, I think Korea is, in my mind, known for their drinking culture. Soju in particular, I think, is just cheap and everywhere, right?
Yes.
And of course, with things like chimak, like chicken and beer. Anyway, I just get the impression that Koreans are always drinking. And yeah, sure enough, I think that seems to be true after moving here.
I think that the factor that it's cheap played a big role in how a lot of people drink here, because it's so affordable.
Yeah.
Right? It's so cheap. The price has gone up a lot, but still compared to a lot of places outside of Korea.
Yeah.
And if you think about the alcohol percentage, right, it's pretty strong.
Yeah.
And it's very cheap.
Yeah,
which
I think
is very dangerous.
I do think in general, beer in the US is, you can find very cheap beers too.
Yeah.
But hard alcohol or hard liquor, to find something so cheap, nothing comes to mind.
Yeah.
And also soju, the bottles are just maybe generally smaller than your typical bottle of alcohol in the US.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to just order one with your meal and just drink it there, right? So
I was surprised because I think a lot of Koreans take pride in the fact that they drink a lot.
yeah.
And I researched the average alcohol consumption per year per capita.
Yeah.
And Korea is not nearly the top 10.
Okay.
And surprisingly enough, it's slower than the US. US is about 9 liters per year per capita of alcohol, whereas Korea is below 8. It's like 7.7-ish.
Interesting,
right? And also, speaking of the cheapness of soju here, I wanted to mention the 2 different types of manufacturing soju.
Okay.
So traditionally, soju is a distilled wine.
Yeah.
So you ferment your grains and then you distill it
Uh-huh.
to become alcohol. That's like the more traditional
Uh-huh.
soju, which you can get in 편의점s or supermarkets, etc. But the really cheap wines, the one like $4 per bottle
Uh-huh.
soju, is kind of replicating that.
Mm.
And it's the diluted soju
Mm-hmm.
where you just put a very strong alcohol and then you dilute it with water and sugar.
I see.
That's why it's so cheap.
So cheap. I see.
And so it's actually very not good quality alcohol,
Yeah.
I believe, but it is very good.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to mention the alcohol percentage of soju,
Yeah.
which even when I was little, your average soju alcohol percentage was at least 25%.
Yeah.
And over time it got lower and lower and lower,
Ah,
and now it's 16.9.
got it.
I found a very interesting fact why it's 16.9
Okay.
is because you cannot advertise alcohol that's above 17% alcohol on TV.
Oh, interesting.
So that
okay.
so they make it so that
Just
it's
under.
just below 17, 16.9.
Right. Wait, June, all the soju I've always drank, right? It's it's the diluted one, right?
It's
like
the
the
diluted
chamisul or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have Hwayo.
So Hwayu is the
Hwayo is a properly manufactured
Okay.
one.
Got
So
it.
it has I think it's has a cleaner aftertaste.
Oh, they're night and day. They're so different.
Yes.
Okay.
Good that you know.
Yeah. All right. Good to know.
Mm.
Yeah, I didn't know any of that. Thank you for the science lesson. So yeah, should we get into it?
Mhm.
Where should we start?
I also wanted to mention maybe this plays a role in drinking culture too, but I realized through my research that Koreans can drink legally drink earlier at their age.
Oh yeah, what is the legal drinking age in Korea?
It's 19.
19 Korean age or 19
19 international age.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so in the US
it would
it's
be 20 Korean age.
okay. In the US it's 21. So it's a full
21,
2
right?
years, 2 years earlier.
So I was so surprised because a lot of Koreans, when they actually start like heavily drinking,
Mhm.
is from when they enter college,
Yep.
college freshman year.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised by the age limit of US, which means that you can't legally drink when you're a freshman in college.
Isn't that weird?
That's very
Yeah,
weird.
so underage drinking, of course it's ubiquitous on college campuses.
Yeah,
But you don't turn 21 usually until somewhere between your junior and senior year.
that's so weird.
And when you do, you're like, you know, if you're the person that can buy drinks for your friend group or whatever, like you're the man. Like you're the, you know,
But that's so weird. Why didn't they just
lower to 18.
lower to 18 so that it matches your education level?
I don't understand. You know, the US was founded on very, I think, kind of far right religious ideals, right? There was even a time it was called prohibition when in the US they banned alcohol completely.
Yeah.
Even for me growing up, right, in a Christian household, it was always seen as like, oh, don't do that, right? Don't drink. It's really bad for you.
Mhm.
But anyway, I think, as you said, right, Americans drink more on average than Koreans. So clearly it's not something that sticks through. But yeah, culturally, for whatever reason, I guess the origins of America were probably founded on these principles of like no drinking, right? The legal drinking age, I'm sure it doesn't make sense in modern day society, but it was probably just instituted. I haven't done any research, but
Is it a federal law?
yeah, I'm pretty sure there's no state that has a lower drinking law.
Interesting.
Although states I think could do that. That'd be a very interesting move to make. But yeah, it's totally backwards, June. The other one that gets brought up a lot is firearm possession. Like you can buy a gun, but you can't drink. Or driving. I think the legal driving age is something like 16. So you can drive a car, but you can't drink, right? So anyway, yeah, I do think almost everyone in the US would say, wow, the drinking age is so high compared to all these other things that you can do much earlier.
I see. I also wanted to get into the types of alcohol that's popular
let's do it.
in both countries. Of course, the famous soju is, I think, the most prevalent. If a Korean person asks you, let's go drink, usually means to get soju.
Soju, right? Yeah.
Or I think the top two is soju and then 맥주, which is beer.
Yeah.
And of course, they mix it up.
Put them together.
It's called somek from the first letters of each alcohol, soju and 맥주. 맥주, I think 맥주, there's a very prevalent 맥주 culture in Korea, but surprisingly, Korea doesn't have very good 맥주.
Wait, what do you mean by that? Like craft beers?
Just 맥주 quality in general
Oh,
is not
okay.
that good.
Yeah.
There are Korean brands, right?
Yeah.
Namely like Ka스,
Obi,
Obi, like
Height,
and then like Terra,
Terra.
or like Kelly,
Yeah.
the new one.
Tara and Kelly have come out of nowhere. Like, do you know what caused their rise?
I think they are specifically made for somek, the taste of
interesting.
it. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
know why, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, in America, those would all be called kind of like light beers,
Mhm.
right? So the US has the equivalent, Bud
Yeah.
Light, Coors,
Yes.
Natty Light or whatever. And it's all known as like kind of bad beer,
Yeah.
like very cheap, bad light beer. So.
Yeah. So there are Korean beer, and one fun fact, the Terra is famously known for, I think, made for making somek.
Oh, that's a thing.
I think so.
Interesting, yeah.
And you know the famous soju brand called chamisul?
Yes.
And when you mix Terra and chamisul together, do you know what they call it?
Wait, let me... Tesil?
Tesla.
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 Like Tesla? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's clever.
Yeah. But I think, I don't want to say recently, but
Yeah.
it's become like, I guess 20 years or more, but they started to import a lot of beers from from Europe or
Yeah.
the US or Japan.
Yeah.
So you can easily get them in 편의점s, convenience stores.
Yeah.
And the thing about 편의점 맥주, we call it 편맥, as in
Yeah.
like convenience store beer,
Yeah.
is that they always have promotion of like 10,000원 for 4 cans,
Oh, okay.
which becomes 2,500 won, 2,500원 per can, which is
Mhm.
pretty affordable.
Yeah.
So I think when Koreans want to drink at their homes, they usually go to the 편의점.
Pick up some beers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those beers are good.
That's similar in the US
Yeah.
too.
Because they're like actually good beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say the fact that every 편의점, like convenience store, carries so much alcohol also just makes it feel so accessible. So in the US, almost, you were asking earlier, the legal drinking age, for example, is the same across the whole country.
Yeah.
But per state, they have very different laws as like where you can sell what, right? Like you were saying, for example, Korean law, you can't advertise beer or alcohol over 17%, whatever concentration.
Yeah.
So similar, I think every US state has different laws around, this type of store can carry beer, but not alcohol, right? Or you need a separate license if you're carrying beer, and it's hard to get that liquor license, for example. Like when I was growing up in my home state of Maryland, you had to have separate beer and wine stores.
Oh, wow.
And you couldn't just go to the supermarket to buy alcohol very easily. Whereas in California, I was shocked. I went into the Costco, which everyone knows I love.
Yeah.
It's like this ginormous like beer, alcohol, wine, like so much liquor available everywhere, right? And so it's just so much. I'm saying all this because in Korea, alcohol is so accessible. It's at every corner. There's a million stores carrying a million different kinds. So yeah.
Speaking of accessibility, one of the things that was very shocking to me when I went to the States is that you're not allowed to drink outside.
Oh, yeah. It has
That
to
was
be
so annoying.
I don't, this is one I'll say, June, it's not very enforced. But yeah, you're supposed to put it in like a paper bag or something so they don't know what you're drinking.
Yeah. But still, it's illegal, right? Technically.
I do believe so, but
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I don't even really know. Yeah.
Really. But it's so liberating to drink outside.
In
like,
Korea, yeah, it's
it's
awesome.
like hangang chimek culture.
Yeah,
I think that's
exactly.
really good.
Yeah.
I have some more types of alcohol that I want to
Okay,
cover.
keep going. Yeah.
So it's the big two, soju and 맥주, but then there's also the traditional Korean liquor or alcohol called makgeolli,
Rice wine.
rice wine that's like very milky.
And
I think Korea's been very innovative and experimental with their makgeollis. And recently there are a lot of very good makgeolli where they have like these like boutique places where they have their own little
so I think
a lot of different flavors and stuff.
The analogy I'd use is like craft beer in the US. There's all these small, they only make a limited amount of like unique or boutique craft beer places. Yeah, makgeolli is like that in Korea. There's all these small people experimenting. You don't make a lot, but they make a little small batch, and it's kind of experimental. Yeah.
So I'll give you some examples of experimental, innovative makgeollis.
Yeah.
I saw basil makgeolli.
Basil.
Yeah, and I heard it's really good.
Interesting.
I
yeah.
wanted to order them for Chuseok,
Yeah.
but they were like they were
Sold out.
so in high demand that they couldn't deliver it by Chuseok, so I just canceled my order.
Yeah, interesting.
And then Shine-Musket makgeolli.
Yeah.
I heard from a lot of reviews that they're very good.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, we should get one. Oh, and the last time we went on a 회식,
Yeah.
we had the 꿀 makgeolli.
Oh,
where
yeah,
they
they
would literally put
a
a part of a
honeycomb.
honeycomb inside a makgeolli.
That was really cool.
It was cool, but I thought it was too sweet.
June, like everything, it's just for Instagram. Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks cool, but
Yeah.
the flavor doesn't really come out.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
agree. Yeah.
Okay. I'll make sure I'll invite you over when I get the basil makgeolli.
Yeah, let's try it.
Okay. Also, this is not technically a type of alcohol, but the mixing culture, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So it started from 폭탄주, which means whiskey and beer.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Whiskey and beer.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that was the most famous mixing
Yeah.
culture. And then now somek,
Uh-huh.
and then all sorts of stuff.
Oh, growing up for me, June, it was you mix soju with like yogurt, like Yakult,
Wow, really?
like yogurt soju. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You had it where?
In the U.S., that's like the most
K-Town?
common. Yeah, K-Town.
Oh, I mean,
It does. It tastes like a fruity drink. You can't taste alcohol at all.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it exists, but
That was never a thing here.
I don't think that was a thing.
Oh, it was huge there. Yeah.
What was a thing in Korea at one point was 과일 soju, like
과일 soju.
fruit flavored sojus.
Oh, but you wouldn't mix like the yogurt drink with it.
Sometimes they do.
Yeah.
But the famous one was it was just manufactured in the bottle.
Oh, together. Yeah.
So it just looks the same.
Yeah.
It's just a transparent,
Ah.
but it has hints of the most famous one was yuzu flavored.
Yuzu.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. Anyways,
But that sounds similar. Basically, mix some fruity drink.
Yeah.
Very fruity drink with soju.
that thing, the trend has gone in Korea, but
Mm.
I heard it's very popular in Southeast Asia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
I went to Singapore a couple weeks ago, and
Yeah.
every time I pass by a Korean supermarket, they always sell the fruit soju,
Okay.
과일 soju. And then there's like these hard liquor and wine, like whiskey, vodka, and wine.
Yeah.
Wine is becoming very popular in Korea.
Yep,
There
I've
are
seen
a
it.
lot of wine bars and like wine supermarkets, wine markets.
Yeah.
And I think it's because it became very affordable after FDA,
Yeah.
Free Trade Association, is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, agreement,
Okay,
probably.
okay.
Free trade agreement. Like Chilean wine,
Yeah.
Argentinian wine,
Yeah.
U.S. wine, they come imported in a very affordable price.
Mm.
They even sell it in 편의점s.
You say that, but I never buy American wine here because it's so much more expensive than the equivalent in the U.S.
Might be true.
Uh,
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for types of alcohol.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to respond. I already talked about yogurt soju and how this was a huge thing in the US because it doesn't taste like anything. It's just so sweet and easy to drink. There was a time, I think maybe 10 years ago, I was drinking and it was someone made a drink called somek kol, which is like somek with cola. It was quite fun to drink and make, but yeah, it was basically the carbonation from the soda made it have a very sweet finish, so it wasn't hard to drink. And then also kind of like champagne, because it's so bubbly, it starts to affect your body quicker. At least that's what I've heard. So I think, yeah, these hit me hard. Like just 2 or 3 of these, I was really feeling quite tipsy.
Are these all the yuaksings that are introducing these?
Yeah, maybe they were like
I can't believe
a Korean
or a Korean American coming up with these mixtures. Sounds Korean.
Growing up, I think makgeolli, like I had never ever even seen a bottle, but for whatever reason, again as a Korean American, the reputation of makgeolli was, it gives you really bad hangovers, and for whatever reason, I thought it was almost a hard liquor. But when I drank it for the first time, I was like, this is sweet and it's very easy to drink. Like this is awesome. So again, for whatever reason, it had a reputation in my mind of being like a very strong alcohol, but it wasn't.
But it is famous for giving you bad hangovers.
Okay.
Because it's not clear.
Yeah.
I think it's less distilled.
Yeah.
Which I heard is one of the reasons that give you bad hangovers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vodka in particular, I think, is quite popular in the U.S., But yeah, I don't think you would ever really drink it in Korea because the flavor is quite similar to soju, in my opinion.
Just stronger though, right?
Maybe just, and it's a little stronger and it's going to be so much more expensive. Like you said, soju is just so cheap. So another fun thing about mixing I had recently, someone mixed their beer. So it was like, whatever, it was like a typical Korean light beer and they put cider in it. So they put some like cider, right? Like Sprite equivalent.
With your beer?
Yeah, yeah.
I know there's a thing where you mix cider and then makgeolli.
Oh, this was with beer. Yeah.
Oh.
It tasted fine. It basically made my beer into like a sweet diluted form.
Beer is already not that strong.
Exactly. I think this is for people who just want like the feeling of drinking but don't want to get very drunk. Yeah.
I see.
So yeah, all these mixes were very like new to me, but just wanted to respond to that mixing culture you mentioned.
Yeah. Are there any other cultures, like drinking cultures, that you want to mention?
In Korea or in the US?
Any? I can list a lot for Korea. Okay, I'll tell you one unique drinking culture of Korea.
Okay. Yeah, why don't you do that?
Is the 2차, 3차, 4차 culture.
That's very unique. Yeah.
It's so unique in that even as a Korean growing up in Korea, when I first started drinking as a college freshman,
Yeah.
I thought that was very weird.
Yeah.
2차, 3차, by the way, means 2차 means like second round, third round.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you're having the second round in the sitting. It means that you go to a different bar.
Yeah.
It's like bar hopping kind of.
So I was going to say again, that is a thing in the US, bar hopping.
Yeah.
But I think in the US it's also quite common to just stay in one place and just like spend the whole night there, right? Whereas in Korea, very intentionally it seems like they have to have these very distinct rounds and you always change locations. Just my feeling. Yeah.
I think what it does is it's functionally practical and also good in terms of mood. Like you change the entire mood once and you can experience different atmosphere and different food if they're selling something else, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the times if you're going to another cha, you go to like a completely different type of place where they sell different type of anjus.
Yeah.
But anyways, and I the reason why I mentioned it's functionally practical is that if someone has to go, it's a very good time to go when they're going to another cha.
Yeah.
Like 저는 이제 가야 돼요.
Yeah. Like this is my time
gives you
to
a good excuse.
slide out. Yeah.
Yeah. And then what else is there?
I guess I have a question. Do Koreans drink casually? And so what I mean by that is it's common in the US for if you're having a meal, you know, if you have a steak, you drink it with a glass of wine.
Yeah.
If you have a burger, you just get a beer with it. My feeling in Korea is that when people drink, they go hard. Like they just don't have one or two drinks. They want to get drunk.
Yeah.
Whereas in the US, drinking is often just to make your food taste better. Maybe to, you know, make you loosen up just a little bit. But the goal is not to get drunk. Yeah.
I think that's a very good question. As I told you, doing banju, right? Drinking with your meal is kind of like, I think it's a signal of, oh, you really like drinking. I think a lot of Koreans, they like the atmosphere of the drinking occasion. In Korean, we call it 술자리.
Yeah.
Then the taste of alcohol itself.
I see. Yeah.
It's a very common thing for a Korean person to say. Like, if you ask, do you like drinking? Like, 술 좋아하세요? And a lot of people say the same thing. I like the occasion.
But not drinking.
Than the drinking itself.
Interesting.
So that's why I think if they drink, they go hard, meaning that they really want to do the full experience of the drinking occasion.
Yeah. That I think feels a little different. Yeah. I think from that sense, casual drinking in America is much more common. I don't see it very much in Korea, which is why I was surprised at the seolleongtang place, that restaurant. Everyone had alcohol. Maybe that's why I was surprised. Yeah.
That's banju. That's like 아저씨 level banju.
I did want to mention this earlier, Jun.
Yeah.
I feel like Koreans are, you know, their steady state is a little bit more reserved and uptight. You have to adhere to a lot of social decorum and expectations or whatever, be very polite. And so almost they like to drink and they use alcohol as an excuse to loosen up, or maybe they just need it to like loosen up and like let loose. But America, right? Like we don't of course the alcohol helps,
Mhm.
right? But it's almost not a necessity before you can like loosen up the vibe. Do you think that plays a factor?
That definitely would. I think it's a common understanding amongst Koreans that you really get to be friends when you drink together,
Yeah.
or you can actually now say what you actually feel
Yes, your
after you're
truth.
drinking.
Yep, yep.
There's a whole song about that, and the word about that is called 취중 진담.
Uh-huh.
취중 means like during drunk.
Yeah.
진담 means like real talk.
Okay, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can have real talk after you're drunk. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you kind of
Do you
get
believe in that though?
What do you mean?
Do you think it's real talk or do you think it's BS talk?
Oh, no, I think alcohol clearly. Oh, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I do agree with it.
Yeah.
I think you can be more honest and real, and you have less control over what you say and do when you drink than when you don't. So I think that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
But interestingly enough, you said that people make excuses for drinking to loosen up.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of manners that you have to also obey during
Yes,
drinking.
let's talk
too.
about those,
Yeah.
of course. Yeah, there's some famous ones.
But manners only apply when there's a
Hierarchy, right?
hierarchy.
Yeah.
Especially during 회식s, like what do you call them? Drinking
Team
or-
outings.
team outings.
Yeah.
See, when you say it in English, it just feels very casual. Team outings. 회식
Yeah.
sounds more. I don't. It's like obligation.
There's a lot associated with 회식. Why don't
Yeah.
you go into that briefly?
Uh,
Because this is a big part of drinking culture in Korea.
yeah. This is the first thing, almost the first thing that you learn when you start drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times, I think in households, your dad teaches you this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think my dad taught me all this too.
Yeah.
The very first thing, the most simple and important thing, when you're drinking with someone that's higher than you, you never drink looking at their faces. You have to turn around and drink. Yeah, you have to turn around and drink, and you never pour your drink yourself. You have to pour it for the other person.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a saying in Korean that the word for pouring yourself is called 자작.
Okay.
If you do 자작, it's bad luck for the person in front of you.
Oh, okay. That you're drinking with
Yeah.
because they should have poured it for you.
Yeah.
I see.
And you know this thing, right? Sometimes it's kind of inconvenient for you to do the back and forth.
Yeah.
So sometimes you do it yourself,
And then someone just
and
leaves-
someone just put your hands
put the
on
hand
it,
out. Yeah.
so
yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't like it's technically not pouring
Yeah,
yourself.
I get it.
What else?
I've
is
seen
there?
that too.
And when you're pouring alcohol to someone who is higher than you,
Yeah.
you never do it with your one hand.
Yeah.
You always do it with
Two hands.
both hands.
Yeah.
But I heard that this came from the fact, I don't know if this is true, came from the fact that back in the days when you're wearing hanbok, like the Korean traditional clothing,
Yeah.
your sleeves are like, it's kind of like
Loose, right?
loose. So
yeah.
you have to like put your
Oh.
other hand so that your sleeve doesn't get into the anju or
Yeah.
whatever. But anyways, this is polite to do it this way.
Got it.
Some people hold the bottle with both hands.
Yeah.
I think that is acceptable.
Yeah.
But I think this is more classy.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like this.
It looks better.
And when you do the 짠,
Yeah.
we call it the
Cheers.
짠, the cheers. You never put your glass above the person who is higher than you.
Yeah.
You always hit below.
Yeah. Doesn't this get complicated if there's like 5 levels of hierarchy? Like you have to have the right order for all 5.
You have to hit it all.
Oh, I'm higher than that person, but lower than that person, so you have to put it in the middle.
Yeah. And even when you're receiving the alcohol from someone else,
Yeah.
if the other person is higher than you, you always have to do it with both. You have to
Receive
hold your
it.
cup with both hands.
Yeah, to receive
And
it properly.
when you receive it, you never just put it down.
Oh,
You at least have to have a sip and then put it down.
that I didn't know.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I haven't been doing that. Yeah.
You don't actually have to drink it, but you
At
at least
least
have
motion,
to pretend
to
that
sip it.
okay,
Oh,
I received.
interesting.
Yeah. And then this is more advanced. Some people say that when you're pouring your alcohol to someone higher than you,
Yeah.
you have to cover the label
Oh.
of the soju bottle.
Oh, what's the thinking behind that?
It's like, oh, how can I serve such, how do you call it? Vernacular drink to you.
Vernacular, like
Is
common?
this the right word? Like cheap drink to you.
Cheap drink. Got it. Yeah.
Okay, I have to cover.
Yeah.
This is to, I want to find the good word. Anyways,
Wait, so to be clear, you only cover the cheap one, but if it's really nice when you
That's-
let it show?
the reason, so it's not only about the cheapness. That's why I'm trying to look for a better word. It's like commercial things are too
Beneath them?
beneath you, so I have to cover it.
Okay.
I think that's kind of the mentality.
Got it.
But this is kind of advanced level.
Yeah.
You don't have to do this.
Okay. I knew all these. Except for the covering
the
one.
label.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
I feel
that's-
good about
yeah.
myself. I have a couple. One question. I've seen sometimes where the two people drinking, they share the same shot glass. Is that like an extra form of intimacy, or is it extra respectful?
I had no idea that you knew about this. I think this is very traditional Korean drinking culture. Was,
Yeah,
but it's now seemed kind of unhygienic. So
Yeah.
not a lot of people do that.
but that's very. You said traditional drinking culture.
So how it works is that, let's say you're the higher person. I come to you.
Which I am. I'm a year older.
Yeah, you're the 형.
Yes.
So I come to you with my soju chan,
Yeah.
like my glass, saying, "Oh, 한 잔 주세요."
Yeah. So you have to ask me.
Yeah,
Okay.
한 잔 주세요. And then-
I don't have to do it respectfully. I just pour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
You cover.
okay, I don't think the order is important.
Oh, it's not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, I could say 한 잔 주세요,
Yeah.
or I could say
Oh.
한 잔 드리겠습니다.
네.
I'll pour you one.
Yeah.
So let's say I said 한 잔 주세요,
Yeah.
and you poured me, and then I drink it, right? This, and then I wipe the part where I put my
you put your mouth,
with my
okay.
hand, which
Yeah.
is also gross, right? And then give it back to you.
Yeah.
And then
You pour for me
Yeah.
while I. Yeah. Okay. Then I
and
drink
then
it.
that person drinks it and gives the glass back to me.
And you wipe that glass that I just
Yeah.
drank. Got it. Okay.
I think COVID effectively eliminated this culture.
I mean, alcohol's gonna sterilize it a little bit, but yeah, I know what you mean.
That's such a Korean 아저씨 to say. Anyways, I was surprised that you know about this culture,
Okay.
but it's not because it's not very contemporary.
Yeah, I mean, the drama picture in my mind is maybe like with your, I don't know, father-in-law or something like that,
Yeah.
right? Or
But-
something very intimate. Yeah.
I do agree that it kind of brings the emotion of intimacy,
Mm.
right? We're sharing the same
Yeah.
glass,
Yeah.
whatever. But anyways,
Yeah, I think Koreans have become quite sensitive to hygiene, especially after COVID.
yes.
Uh,
Anyways, speaking of, okay, are there any like drinking manners?
wait,
in the
I
States?
have to ask something.
Yeah.
So another part of heshik is, I think, if someone pours for you, can you reject it? Or if someone offers you to drink, can you reject it? I think that's seen as bad manners or disrespectful, right?
It depends on the occasion
Mm-hmm.
and also your relationship with the other person.
Yeah.
I think this was a very controversial thing recently in Korea
Yeah.
about heshiks. We call it like 술 강요 문화, like forcing to drink culture, which was it was a common thing
Yeah.
even up until 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Now it's become so taboo with all the 꼰대
Uh-huh.
thing, and even if you're a higher hierarchy than you, they try to be very careful with
Okay.
that. I would feel uncomfortable saying no.
To someone superior offering you a drink, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what happens in Korean workplaces these days is that they won't even offer you, because like if you offer you and you're higher than that person,
Yeah.
it already implies some type of forcing.
Yeah.
So they don't offer it to you.
So then, in modern day Korean heshiks, do they just pour yourself now, or do
they
you
don't
ask?
they don't pour yourself, but like they would ask, like,
Okay.
더 드시고 싶으세요?
You have to ask before pouring. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I have one more follow up, which is there like a faux pas against someone's cup or shot glass or drinking glass being empty, or should it always be full at these events?
Oh, you mentioned a very good point. The thing about Korean drinking culture that's very unique is that you never leave the glass empty.
I see. Okay.
And also
That is a thing.
that is a
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
But also you never pour when there's still alcohol there.
Yeah. So that's their way of signaling like, oh, I can't drink anymore.
So
You leave a little bit, right?
you probably seen this in dramas or like in real life, but sometimes the person doesn't know whether the glass is all empty or not.
Uh-huh.
And they try to pour more to you. What do? You drink it.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
finish
Yeah.
finish it up. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, I do that too. I just I guess, picked up that that's naturally you can't have them pour into a partially unfinished drink.
Yeah. Pouring into an unfinished drink is called 첨잔. Like
There's a term for it.
Yeah, adding your glass, which is kind of taboo in Korean drinking culture.
Do you have any idea why?
No.
Okay, yeah. I also wanted to describe, one of my goals too, just like kind of eating at a pocha, was joining like a traditional Korean heshik, which I had the opportunity to do one time.
Yeah.
So I just want to describe what it was like. We went to a gokiji, like
Yes.
a pork barbecue place, and the two, I guess, most junior members, they were responsible.
They cooked the meat.
They were cooking the meat, so like it was so almost robotic, right?
Yeah.
So they immediately went to their jobs, which is like cutting the meat so diligently, like flipping it, making sure it's like not burnt at all, like perfectly cooking the meat. The two middle people, their job was to keep the alcohol flowing. So they're like doing the pouring, like all the proper pouring, like always signaling to the ajima to get more alcohol and everything. And then like the senior people, right? They were just chilling. They were just eating and drinking.
I'm happy that you mentioned it because the work culture that I'm describing might not exactly reflect the Korean work or like work drinking culture.
Yeah.
Because we work in tech, so I think the culture is more westernized,
more progressive, right?
More casual.
Yeah.
But the people that you went with, they come from a very traditional Korean company, right?
Yeah.
So probably you got the better Korean 회식 experience than I did.
It's just so funny. They knew their roles. They went right about it.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned earlier, after that first meal, we had a break. A couple of people left. We went to the second place. Yeah, and it was just like so cut and dry. Like it was so procedural.
Daniel, you don't even know what went behind the scenes when you went to 2차.
Oh, really?
Probably the maknae, the youngest people, probably went around looking, reserving for the 2차.
It's awesome. Okay, but Jun, all of this was to lead into maybe a more serious question.
Yes.
Is there a term for alcoholism or alcoholic in Korean, and how is that treated? Because this, I think, is a huge deal in America. You know, alcoholism, alcoholics, substance abuse, right? There's a very famous organization, AA. Have you heard of it before?
Yes.
Yeah, Alcoholics Anonymous, right? So trying to get sober, like not have a dependency on alcohol. And, you know, having known people who are legitimately alcoholics myself and are trying to stay clean, trying to not drink, it's just something that comes up because like you can't reconcile the Korean, especially company drinking culture and like the drinking culture overall in Korea with this like, okay, how can we kind of protect or support alcoholics who are trying to not let alcohol ruin their life? Yeah.
I can't speak for everyone, but this is probably my personal view, but I mean, there is a word for alcoholism, but it's just alcohol 중독, alcohol addiction.
I see.
And I think the general perception of it is I don't think it's considered to be a very serious illness. And I think Korean people, when they think about alcohol addiction, alcohol 중독, they imagine something to be super serious. But I feel in American standards, a lot of people in Korea are casually alcoholics. I remember, so you watched the K-drama called 나의 해방일지.
What's the translation?
My Liberation Notes.
Yes, yeah.
You know that guy Son Seok-gu?
Yeah.
He always drinks like 2 bottles
every night. Yeah.
Of soju every night.
Every night.
That's like classic alcoholism, right? But in the drama, they don't depict it as like an illness or anything.
But they do depict it as unhealthy behavior, I believe.
Unhealthy behavior, but it's not like a serious illness.
Correct. Yeah.
I think that's a good representation of how Korean people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
This is probably one of the biggest differences I think between the two countries, in my opinion.
Are there any drinking culture or unique habits or
drinking culture? Yeah, one thing I've noticed is not a thing in Korea, and maybe it's replaced with heshiks. It's called happy hour. So in the US, right, 4 to 5 or 5 to 6 or whatever, typically Thursdays is the most common day of the week. But it's a term called happy hour. You can go to any bar, which we haven't talked about yet, really. But there's so many bars you can go to, just places to drink, and they'll have, you know, half off beers or whatever. And I think the idea is, oh, we just got done with a hard day of work. Let's just go get 1 or 2 drinks, and then before we head home to kind of loosen up and kind of relax after a hard day of work. this is probably the most common drinking culture in American companies. And yeah, I don't see it in Korea. And again, I think I'll say a lot of times you can bring it into the office too. Like maybe there's a fridge or cooler, you just like grab a beer and start drinking, or you just go to like a nearby bar for the happy hour. But this doesn't seem to be a thing in Korea.
How do you think it started? Like happy hour, is that like business purpose?
I have no freaking clue. No idea.
Interesting. Yeah, it doesn't exist, happy hour. Like some maybe like Itaewon bars who try to be more Western would have like happy hour, but it's not a prevalent culture.
I think it's in line with two earlier points you made. It feels like a very casual thing. Again, you're just drinking 1 or 2 beers, whatever, and going home after. It's not like an all-night affair. And then it's not a full-blown heshik. Like you just, it's fully optional. People can come if they want to, and they just go home after. It's like not a big commitment, I'd say. So in that ways, it just seems countercultural to Korea. Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about some weird rituals that Korean people almost all the time do before drinking.
Yeah.
You probably seen these in real life or at least in like the media.
Yeah.
Before you open a bottle of soju.
Yeah.
You know, have you seen people do this?
Yeah. Yeah. You have to spin it and then you like smack the bottom with your elbow.
Yeah. And then after you twist open the cap, you do like this.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Do you know what that means?
No idea.
I had no idea too, so I researched.
Yeah.
But they almost do it all the time.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's very common.
It might not be true, but the current explanation of that is that back in the days, soju...
Wait, yeah.
What?
I'm just shocked there's an explanation, yeah.
Soju was lidded with like a cork, like a wine cork.
Yeah.
But it was like, a lot of the time it was not well-made cork.
Yeah.
So there were crumbles of cork.
Sure, the cork was deteriorating, yeah.
On top of the
drink.
soju.
Yeah.
So you flip the bottle and then do this.
Let all it go to the bottom.
So that you can easily open the cork.
Mm-hmm.
And then you open the cork and you still have the little bit of cork crumbles on top of the soju.
Yeah.
So you do this.
To get it off.
To get it off. I don't know why they do the shaking though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense too, right? To mix it up, get the sediment. Especially makgeolli, we didn't talk about this. Aren't there 2 styles of drinking? Like one tries to mix it up completely. The other keeps the sediment at the bottom, right?
Yeah. Makgeolli, it makes total sense to me because they're sediments.
Floating around.
And then, and you want to mix it. So you can mix it. Yeah, some people just only want to drink the top.
Let's see. Other one thing I wanted to bring up is the concept of day drinking, like drinking during the day. It feels like in Korea that's kind of taboo. Like you're really like, oh wow, like they're
low life.
Low life, exactly. Yeah. Whereas in the US, it's a bit more festive, right? Yeah. There's something like, what's that drink? Anyway, orange juice and like champagne or sparkling wine or whatever.
Oh, mimosas?
Yeah, mimosas. Yeah. Yes. Like there's no like breakfast drinking culture in Korea, right? Like it's
drinking at breakfast is really low in
it's
Korea.
Just you'd be seen as like a down and out low life, right?
And I think that again it goes hand in hand with the casual.
Yeah, there's no casual drinking.
Because if you're drinking, it's like kind of hardcore. So why do you want it? So if you're drinking in the morning or in daytime, it kind of looks shady.
I see.
But I think a good excuse to drink in the daytime in Korea is to do banju. Like
to drink while you're eating.
If you have, let's say, sundaekguk for lunch,
I
think it's kind of acceptable to have a little bit of soju.
Oh, it is acceptable.
Yeah.
Okay.
But not like during your work lunch.
See, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think it's much more acceptable and casual to drink a little bit at any time in the day in the US.
Even during work?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. I worked at a very... Yeah, I think if you get a beer with your team's going out to lunch, you get a beer, no one's going to think twice. Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's see.
Do you think it also relates to the Asian blush?
Oh, we should talk about that.
Flush, is it?
I think flush, yeah.
Asian flush.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of Asians, they drink.
Yeah, it's very clear.
Yeah, it's clear that you drank. So that's why you don't want to drink in daytime.
Because you look bad.
Because you look like you're drunk. Obviously.
I don't think it's common here in the U.S., especially amongst Asians, right?
Yeah.
You take this medicine, Pepsid AC, and it helps you to break down whatever that causes the blush, the flush, and so you don't turn red as much. But in Korea, they don't take Pepsid AC, but they do have something else.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. There are a lot of drinks and little pill things that you can easily get in 편의점s that
everywhere.
You take before and after, or even during drinking.
What's it called? They're called condition, right? No.
But that's a brand.
Oh, okay.
I think it's called 숙취 해소제.
Okay.
Do you know what 숙취 is? It's hangover.
Oh, 숙취 is hangover.
So literally it means like hangover reliever.
Okay.
It works like a charm.
I did try it one time. It worked amazingly. So I had similar hangover symptoms. Like I was thirsty, right? But I didn't have the headache. That's the one thing I didn't have, but I had the other symptoms. It was amazing. Yeah.
I think it's really bad for the drinking culture in Korea.
Yeah, it enables it for sure. Yeah. I'm shocked these haven't made it to the US. Yeah, to be honest.
Maybe American people have less hangovers.
Yeah. Like we've been saying, right? Americans don't necessarily go hard every night or every time they drink like Koreans do.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, right? No one likes hangovers. And so I think if these were mainstream or common in the US, like people would definitely go for them. Yeah.
I haven't had a bad hangover after the introduction of these things.
What about hangover recovery remedies? Yeah.
해장 문화. We call it 해장, as in like untying your guts.
Oh, so see, I thought 해장 meant hangover.
Oh no, hangover means hangover is 숙취.
Yeah, you said the word earlier,
Yeah.
so I never heard that word before. I see.
It's like
What's 해장 mean literally?
untying your guts.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that a very funny term? Because like when you have a hangover, it feels like your guts are all twisted.
Yeah.
And it's like 해장 means untwisting it.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I think famously it was like there's a food called 해장국. Right?
Yeah.
But it's not a specific food. It's a genre.
Mm-hmm.
For 해장국, you can have 순댓국, you can have like 선짓국 or whatever. But that was the traditional 해장 culture.
Yeah.
But nowadays, some people do the other route, which is eat something very greasy, like a burger or pizza. I'm more of that type of person than the 국물 type, the soup type.
I think while drinking culture might be different across US and Korea, the hangover recovery culture is the same. Yeah.
It's the same.
So I think the two most classic things, you mentioned one, but like Vietnamese pho. That's like a great hangover food. And then the second one is anything greasy to soak up the alcohol, we say.
Yeah.
So like a really greasy burger or burrito or something like that. So yeah, it has to be really bad for you though. Something I want to mention, a very popular game that I don't see played here, beer pong.
Oh, we're getting into
drinking games. Okay, wait, maybe let's see.
I wanted to put an overarching theme over this called drinking occasions.
Oh, okay.
And the first of it, we already covered it, drinking at work.
Yeah.
And the second I wanted to bring up was drinking in college. Because that's like when a normal Korean first gets introduced to drinking culture.
Same in the US.
Yeah.
Yeah. College is known to like everyone drinks and parties a lot. Yeah.
So there's a thing called 신환회 in Korea, short for 신입생 환영회.
Okay. I only know the last word. 회 is meeting, right?
Yeah, 환영 means welcome.
Oh, okay.
So 신입생 means
환영합니다, right? Okay.
신입생 is a freshman. So it's like freshman welcoming meeting.
Yeah.
That's a very famous. That's like when most Koreans first drink really hard.
Yeah.
Because it's the first time they're drinking.
Yeah.
It's so bad. It's because it's the first time you drink is when you drink probably the most in your life.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know if it exists anymore. There's in Korean college culture, there's a thing called 사발식. 사발 means a large bowl. Like when you have your 냉면, right? Those like really large soup bowls.
Yeah.
사발식 is where this is really bad. Pour a large amount of soju or whatever in the 사발, the bowl, and then you have to drink it once. As like it's kind of like a cult.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, now you're welcome.
Initiation.
Yeah. You're welcome to our society, right?
And is this done like how do the groups form? Is it based on your major or is it based on like a club you're joining? Because in the US it would typically be around like a frat or sorority, right? So
mostly your major.
Okay.
But if you have an excuse to do whatever, like for your club, you would do it too. And then you learn all these 술 games.
Yeah.
Like drinking games.
Okay.
It's very unique Korean culture, right? It doesn't exist. I mean, the concept of playing games during drinks might exist in the US.
Yeah.
But the thing that they do, like the way that they play it, I think it's very unique.
I mean, I'll share some of the ones I know.
Yeah.
I know Titanic.
Yes, Titanic is the one where you have a large like beer glass.
Yeah.
And then you put beer in it.
Yep.
And then you float the soju glass on top of it so it floats.
Yeah.
And then people take turns pouring in a little bit of soju inside of the shot glass.
You can pour any amount you want, right? Like
Yeah.
you can pour a lot, you can pour a little. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can. The amount that you pour is up to you.
If you want to set up the person to your.
But the moment that it sinks,
you have to drink.
You have to drink it. Yeah, it's like the sand taking game kind of.
I don't know that game. Yeah.
In beaches you put a little like stick on top of a pile of sand and you take a little bit of sand. And the moment that the stick falls,
you lose. Yeah. It's like Jenga too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I should have said
But Titanic, I know one that's called we called it Tip Top, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And like everyone has a shot glass and if you tap once, you keep going like, let's say counterclockwise, but then anyone can tap twice and you switch directions and you have to do it very fast. And if you mess up, you drink, right?
Yeah.
Twister, right? Is that, or you just like flick the soju cap?
Yeah. You twist the residue of the twist cap.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Into you twist it into a little twig.
Yeah.
And then you
start flicking it. Yeah. Whoever flicks it off wins or loses. Wins. It has to be wins.
It could be either way.
Yeah.
But it should be they win.
Yeah, because otherwise no one will flick hard. Yeah. Everyone just flicks it off.
I think the very classic ones are Baskin Robbins 31.
Don't know this one. Yeah.
The fun thing about all these games is that they have like a little motion that they do together.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it.
Too embarrassed.
Yeah. Anyways, so it's like it's called Baskin Robbins 31 because whoever has to say the number 31 loses.
Okay.
So what you do is you take turns and you have to call out at least 1, 2, 3 numbers. So the first person says like 1, 2. The next person has to say like 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
And so it progresses up until it reaches 31.
Got it.
And someone has to say the number 31.
Yeah.
And the person who has to say 31 loses.
Okay.
And drinks. And okay. And then when you have to drink, there's like a song that everyone sings.
Okay.
But I don't want to do that.
Okay. Too embarrassing.
I'll put it in the video.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sorry, to be clear, whoever says 31 loses, they sing a song and then they have to drink.
No, everyone sings a song for you.
At you.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I think of course there are drinking games, but nothing like these are all very common and I think ubiquitous, like everyone knows them. So I think the only one that qualifies like that to me is beer pong. Yes, but beer pong's not a thing here, right?
No.
Okay, yeah.
Have
you ever played beer pong?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I thought beer pong was also kind of gross.
Yeah, because that ping pong ball's going into the beer.
And it's like the ping pong ball goes everywhere.
Everywhere, it's on the ground.
Whatever,
yeah.
And then
now they line up the drinks and the bottle, they're just water. You don't actually drink what's in the cup now. Yeah, they made it hygienic. But I agree with you. It's so disgusting.
Yeah. I can name a lot, but I think Koreans are very innovative and they're very innovative with their gaming.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and the songs that they sing.
They really are fun. Like you do it together. Yeah. It's very communal.
There's always an intro song that's the essence of it.
Oh, this one I don't know. Yeah.
Anyways,
how about another one of the I think more popular places to drink in the U.S. Sports bar. So you go there to watch sports while you drink.
Yeah.
I haven't found a single one in Korea. Yeah.
I think chicken chips play a little bit of role of that.
Yeah.
Like if there's like a very important game, right? Most of the time it's soccer in Korea. Like let's say there's a World Cup, Korean playing with another country. That's the time when these chicken chips are at their peak
I see.
Of sales. Yeah. I remember going to one, I think it was last winter.
Yeah.
I think it was Korea and Portugal. I went to a chicken chip and it was
just packed.
It was impossible to get a table. Yeah.
Can you go alone? No, right?
I mean, it's not illegal,
Mhm.
but it's kind of weird.
It'd be weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Another major occasion too is I think if you go to watch a sports game live,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like alcohol is a huge deal. Like
Mm.
concessions, it's called. It's very expensive,
Mhm.
right? So I don't know if that's a common culture too, but
Live?
yeah, whenever you go to like a live event or a show, you
Mhm.
can always buy a drink. Yeah. And at at sporting events, it's beers. If you're
Oh.
going to like a play or a show, you get wine or
Mhm.
maybe a cocktail or something like
Mm-mm.
that. But yeah, whenever you're out and yeah, I mean, honestly, now that I say it, like people in the US, they're almost always drinking
Mm.
at any occasion, right?
Hence,
The higher per capita.
9 liters versus 7.7. I think casual drinking played a huge role in this.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Is now a good time to touch on drinking and driving?
Oh, I also wanted to mention,
Okay.
since we're on places,
Yeah.
which is very unique in Korea that
Uh-huh.
doesn't exist in the US, is drinking outside.
Oh yeah, at the
Mm-mm.
park. Yep.
And the park, I think this might not be a Korean culture. It can be, but more of a Seoul culture. It's called 한강 치맥.
Yeah,
You drink chicken and beer at 한강.
that's awesome. Yeah,
The atmosphere is amazing, right?
it's really awesome. Yeah,
Like, imagine this like beautiful river at
Yeah.
night, and
Yeah.
the entire side of the river, the park side of the river, is filled with these picnic blankets.
Yeah,
and everyone sitting together,
yeah,
side by side,
yeah.
having chicken and
Yeah.
then
I
beer.
I mentioned this on our previous episode. That's what my wife and I did for my birthday 2 years ago. It was
Oh,
awesome.
wow.
Yeah,
Um,
classic. It's even common like outside of pyeonjams, right? People are just sitting there
Oh, yeah,
drinking
that
their
too.
beers that they bought. I mean, like in the U.S., just the idea of like you go to 7-Eleven with
Yeah.
a friend, buy a beer, and just sit outside on the curb and drink.
mm,
That's seen as kind of like low life, right?
Yeah.
Like that. It's kind of shady. Yeah.
there's a scene in Parasite in the movie where they drink outside of the 편의점.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite common. You see it all the time.
Very
Yeah.
common.
Yeah.
We can go into other cultures too. Let's talk about drinking and driving.
This is a culture in the US.
This is what I wanted to bring up when I was first very surprised about the drinking and driving culture in
Yeah.
the US, is when we had the summit in the US.
Yeah.
So that was during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So we couldn't go into a bar. So I believe that the company rented out a venue in like the middle of the mountains.
Yeah. It
think
was
it
like
was like
kind of
a
middle of nowhere. Yeah.
Wedding venue. It was beautiful. the scenery and
Spectacular view.
everything,
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had a good time. Of course, there was drinking involved and everything. And so the reason that I'm describing the venue is that there's no way to get there without driving there, right?
Yeah.
So everyone drove there.
Also, it was so remote that like even cabs, Ubers won't take you because
Yeah.
they're like, I'm not driving you all the way out there.
Yeah,
So it was very remote.
It was in the middle of nowhere, and everyone was drinking. And
Yeah.
I was very curious how is everyone gonna go back, right?
Yeah.
Because in Korea, I should mention this later, but there's like this 대리운전
Mm.
culture where you can call someone, hire them to drive for you.
Yeah.
But that's not a common thing in the U.S.
No, it doesn't exist. It exists in like K-Town,
Maybe.
where there are lots of Koreans that need to get driven home.
Yeah. So I was very curious to see how everyone gets home.
Yeah.
And to my surprise,
Everyone
they just all
drove.
gets to their car.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're all driving home.
Yep.
Which is crazy for a Korean mind.
It is.
I think the perception of drinking and driving, which I think is a very good thing,
Yeah.
is it's very, very taboo.
Yeah.
You should never drive. I mean,
That's a great thing,
It
yeah.
happens all the time,
Yeah.
but still, the general perception is a very bad thing to
Mhm.
do.
Yeah.
So you never drive after drinking.
Yeah.
But it was much more casual than I thought in the U.S.
My understanding in Korea, it's even like one drink you shouldn't drive.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think the typical, again, the blood alcohol level in the US is like 0.08 or something.
Mhm.
But the way I've always learned it is about one drink per hour, you're fine, right? If I drink one beer or take one shot
Mhm.
every hour, I'm out.
Mm.
I'll be okay to drive.
Mm.
But anything more than that, you're over the legal limit.
Mm.
But in Korea, it's almost like you said, it's a zero tolerance
Yeah.
policy. So
Yeah.
honestly, it feels weird as an American. I know when I'm in control. Well, a lot of times,
Mm.
if I have one beer, June, I'm unfazed. Like it's nothing to me, really.
Interesting.
I'm not any more, a worse driver for it. But in Korea, like I can't drive home.
But that's what every drunk driver says.
No, but
I thought I
okay.
was okay.
But that's why we have this legal limit, right? 0.08 or whatever it might be. And one drink per hour. It's not a lot. Yeah. But anyway, in Korea, it's a zero tolerance policy, which leads to this whole economy around people who will just, you'll pay them to drive your car home for you.
Yeah.
And then I think the other thing too is in Korea, the subway system is awesome, but it shuts down so early. It ends at 12.
12.
And so how are people supposed to get home after that? They call taxis or whatever it might be. So in the US, people just drive everywhere, especially outside of cities. You have to drive, right? And so it'd be literally impossible to drink if you couldn't drive after.
I think it's also relates to the fact that Seoul specifically is very dense urban environment, so that you can take a cab everywhere.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure drinking and driving is more prevalent in
outside of Seoul? Yeah, for sure.
countryside.
I'd imagine.
By the way, drinking and driving is one of the most frequent reasons for celebrities or public figures to be canceled.
Yeah, of
Korea.
course.
Yeah.
It's that taboo.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Which it should be. Yeah, in the US, I think we're a little too casual with it. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about food and drinking?
Yeah, let's talk about food and drinking.
I want to play a fun game.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure there are things like this in the US, but in Korea, there's a concept of this food with this type of drink.
Yeah, like a very specific pairing, right?
Yeah, the most famously chimek.
Yes. Yeah.
Chicken and 맥주.
That one I know.
Yeah. So
Let's go.
so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna name you a type of food.
Okay.
You tell me what's a good popular Korean drink that goes well with it. Okay.
Okay. Sorry. And are we just going like the high level makgeolli, beer, or soju, or are we going deeper than that?
It's mostly gonna be within
One of those three. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me try.
I'll start with the easy ones.
Okay.
파전.
Yeah. Makgeolli. This is a thing.
Yes. So 파전 is scallion pancake.
Yeah. But any jun goes with makgeolli, right? Yeah.
So 전 is like Korean pancake, right? Is famous to go well with makgeolli. So it's 파전 and makgeolli, or it could be like 김치전 and makgeolli.
Yeah.
Right. The next one, 삼겹살.
Soju.
Oh, how'd you know?
100%. That's easy.
삼겹살.
I don't know. That's what you do. Yeah.
Okay, personally, I don't get it.
It's because the samgyeopsal is so greasy.
Because it's so greasy
Yeah.
to me. So I feel like 맥주, beer would be better.
Oh, would be better.
I mean, there are people who drink beer with samgyeopsal,
Yeah.
but it's almost like samgyeopsal and soju.
Yeah.
It's almost like a word
Yeah.
together.
That, I guess I've just pattern matched across enough Korean dramas.
Ah, nice. That's a nice one.
Yeah.
땅콩과 오징어.
Peanuts in the US would be like a beer food. But 오징어,
마른 오징어, to be specific.
what's 마른 오징어?
Dried.
Oh,
dried
dried
squid.
오징어.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to guess 맥주, just beer.
Yes.
Okay. But for sure, the peanut part makes sense to me. The other one I just guessed, yeah.
Correct. So, like, there's a genre of dried anju. It's called 마른 anju. Like your 오징어s, or like sometimes
지퍼, right? 지퍼?
Jipo,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. And sometimes, like, you know what nogari is?
No.
I think it's pollock, dried
Oh, okay,
pollock.
okay.
You have it with your nuts,
Yeah.
and then beer. That's like probably the most casual, down to earth anju in Korea.
Yes, yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Beef jerky counts there too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
마른 안주. So I mentioned nogari, so nogari and 맥주 too. Pizza.
In the US, it'd be beer. Somak, maybe in particular?
Oh,
Just beer.
beer.
Okay, pizza and beer.
So there's a word called chimek,
Yeah.
and there's a word called pimek.
Pimek, pizza and beer. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. 두부김치.
Soju.
막걸리.
Oh, mak.
Yeah.
Dude, I love dubu kimchi.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite.
두부김치
yeah.
is a very famous anju
Oh, I didn't
in
know.
막걸리 places.
Yeah.
So it's most of the time 파전 and 두부김치 and then 막걸리.
Oh, I didn't
together.
know. Yeah. Now I know.
But I think now that you mention it, it works well with soju too. 순댓국.
Soju.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the same as how people were drinking soju with 설렁탕.
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So anything they're very
Soupy.
soupy and warm goes well with soju.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this one's gonna be kind of difficult. 수육.
Suyuk is pork.
Uh-huh.
makgeolli?
Oh, yes.
Kind of
how'd
like
you
a
get it?
jun. I don't know.
Oh, suyuk is just pork that's boiled in water.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like a jun to me. I don't know.
Oh, maybe that's why.
I don't know.
Yeah, suyuk and makgeolli.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. The last one's it's very specific.
Okay.
양꼬치.
양꼬치? Oh, this I know.
Yeah.
칭따오.
Yes.
Yo!
Whoa.
Let's go.
The reason why I said this is kind of difficult is
Yeah.
it's not only Qingdao is a type of beer.
It's a Chinese beer.
It's a Chinese beer, but it's not only 양꼬치 and 맥주.
Yeah.
Korean people say 양꼬치 and Qingdao.
칭따오, yeah.
And it's because it's just got famous by their advertising.
Really?
Because they kept on saying 양꼬치 and Qingdao.
I thought it's because 양꼬치 was seen as like a Chinese cuisine.
It is. So
Oh,
it makes
okay.
sense.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why they advertise it that way. But they made the advertisement was so popular so that now everyone they don't just drink beer in 양꼬치 place. They always order Qingdao. Right?
Yo, I did good. Yeah.
You did very
Really
well,
good.
man.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Should I be proud of this though, June?
You should be. You became very Korean.
Became very Korean.
Yeah.
Do Koreans? I feel like Korea's wine culture is not as evolved. Let's say, right?
I think it's definitely a subculture that it's starting to become more major, but it's only there are a lot of like what do you call like wine enthusiasts? Is there a word for that?
Winies. Yeah.
Winies. Yeah, there are very hardcore winies
I'm sure.
in Korea,
Yeah.
but it's not a prevalent
It's not as
popular
mainstream.
culture.
Yeah.
I think Korean people, when they say wine, they would associate it with expensive,
Fancy.
and just like red wine or white
exactly.
wine.
Yeah, they just go red or white. But in the U.S., there's something called $2 Chuck, which is like I forget exactly, but Charles something. But there's a wine brand that's famous for serving like really just cheap wine.
I mean, but it is. I think Korean people have the perception of wine being expensive because it was always very expensive.
Yeah.
But now they're very affordable.
It might become more
wine
popular,
too.
right?
Yeah, like in 편의점, you can get it under 10,000원, like 8,000원 wine, which it's not okay. It's not good wine, but it's like it's still affordable. Yeah.
I wanted to share. So whiskey, I think pretty famously, there's a very famous and good quality Taiwanese wine that really recently won some awards.
Whiskey or wine?
Whiskey.
Taiwanese whiskey.
Called Kavalan or whatever. Kavalan, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Oh, that's Taiwanese? I've heard of it. I never knew that it was Taiwanese.
And I heard whiskey in Korea was becoming quite popular, especially, Johnny Blue, right? That's like the most famous, I think, whiskey in Korea. But yeah, so I just want to share, I was looking for like a Korean distilled whiskey as kind of a gift for someone. Did all this research. Turns out there is one like domestically bottled Korean whiskey called Key One or whatever.
Key One?
Yeah, it's only been around for a couple years. To be clear, I haven't tried it yet. But yeah, I found that bottle, bought it for a friend who's like a whiskey enthusiast. They told me it was about what they expected, which I think means not very good. But it's still cool that like Korea's getting into whiskey more as well. Yeah.
Now that you mentioned whiskey, I can't believe I didn't mention the recent highball trend.
Yeah, highballs are everywhere.
It's the thing right now.
It's so popular. Yeah,
everyone gets highball.
I even bought a canned highball.
Yeah, in the 편의점, right?
It was gross.
Yeah, it was gross.
It's gross. Yeah,
I don't know how it happened though. It's a
mystery.
It's a Japanese cocktail, right?
Is it? I know it's famous with like Japanese whiskeys.
Suntory.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that I don't know if the drink itself is, but it's just a very light drink. It's a very low alcohol contents. Yeah, easy drink. But you're right, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Anyways.
Okay.
We didn't mention 흑기사 흑장미, but
oh yeah, that's another culture I know, but it's okay.
Okay.
We'll skip. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Yeah, follow us at Korean American Podcast on Instagram. We're also on YouTube, Twitter, TikTok,
everything.
Yeah. All right.
Are we on Twitter?
No. we are, but we don't post.
We have an account. Okay. Anyways.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. See ya. Bye.
Bye.
Should we actually bring the
No.
Let's do it.
We can't post on YouTube if we do it.
Oh, let's just do water with soju. We can't. Anyways, okay.
Yeah.
Let's just simulate it.
Yeah. Yeah, small anecdote around that. Even the, odeng, like when you put the soy sauce on it. Now I saw it's in a spray bottle.
Which is so smart, right?
So hygienic.
Yeah.
And smart.
But it's so. I used to do that. I used to dip in the same soy sauce when I was little.
Yeah.
But now, like
You
in
just think about
hindsight,
it.
if you think about it, it's so disgusting.
It's not that disgusting to me because you're supposed to only put it on before you even touch it. So
No,
like,
but you eat it, right? You dip it in the soy sauce
Yeah.
and then you eat it. And then you dip it in again.
oh, dipping? No, okay. At least what I was saying is there's like a little paintbrush type thing. So you're supposed to brush on the soy
okay.
sauce.
Daniel, you have no idea what it was back then.
Wait, growing up, you just dipped it?
There was a communal soy sauce dipping thing.
That's gross. That's nasty. No,
Yeah,
I can't do that.
I thought you were mentioning
No,
that.
no. I saw they replaced the paintbrush with like a spray bottle, which
Okay,
felt
if
more
you think the
hygienic.
paintbrush is hygienic, I had no issue with dipping with other people.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Is there-
now that you think about it, it is gross.
It is gross, yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a term in Korean for in the US what you just described is called double dipping?
Mm,
You never go food mouth dip.
mm.
It's always food dip mouth.
Oh,
And only one time. You can never let something that touched your mouth touch the communal dip.
yeah,
No term for that.
double dipping. No.
Aje dipping.